Good morning, everybody. It's Monday. It is Monday. It is Monday. I actually wish it was a weekend again. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wish I was still asleep. I was kind of looking forward to today, being be able to sleep in a little bit. But life weird. Okay, life. I don't necessarily like life sometimes because it makes you believe one thing, and then the next day you don't get it, and your body's cussing you out like mine is because I want more sleep. You probably see it on my face, but it's not. I'm not like gonna fall out on you guys. Okay, I'm not gonna fall asleep, so don't stress over it. Hopefully, everyone had a good weekend. Um, this week is gonna be an off and on type thing. I'm not sure about tomorrow morning yet, but I will let you know. Um, there's a lot going on here at the house, so just keep that in mind. That if I am not on tomorrow, there is no promise that I will be. There are a few things I want to touch on, but not quite sure tomorrow is going to be one of those days. So I just wanted to give you that update. Today, however, we have a guest. Um, he has a YouTube channel where he discusses what he's going to discuss with us today. Um, and he came to us on Too Strong to offer his insights on the book of Revelations. And I thought, you know what, I want to hear this. And so I had some time to watch a couple of his videos on his platform. And so he's on today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring him up. His name is Robert Padon. And I'm going to have him introduce himself for a few minutes, a couple of minutes here, and then we'll get into the discussion. Um, so just so y'all aware what's taking place today. And if you guys have questions, feel free to ask him and I'll bring him up and see if he has an answer for you. Without further ado, I'd like to please welcome our guest, Robert. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Doing great. How y'all doing? How's everybody out there?
Well, we are fine so far. No one in the audience is complaining about being here, so that's good. Um, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take down real quick myself. I'll leave you up for like a minute, minute and a half or something, just explaining to people uh, something about you and what you do. All right, and I'll be back up.
Again, I'm Robert Payton. Uh, Back in 2007, in a nutshell, I fell out with a heart issue and ended up receiving a heart transplant. But in the process, I had got to see a little bit of heaven and the goodness and greatness of things, and reading the book of Revelation and how I'd been taught all so many years about all this horrible stuff coming. It just didn't stick with me. So my mission was to find, the truth. And in doing so, I have come to a lot of different conclusions that the church teaches and that stuff I was taught. And so I put all of this in two ebooks, and they're free online. They're on smashwords.com. And the first one is the book of Revelation. First one is Revelations of Grace and Mercy, and the second one is the book of Revelation is so simple, and it is very simple. The book of Revelation is very simple. It gets complicated because there's too many people out there that complicate it with stuff that just isn't true, and that's what I go through. And if you have any questions, please throw them up for Marlon, and I'll answer them. And it's going to be kind of shocking, but one of the main things you need to learn about the book of Revelation is it's a script. Everyone reads it like a book from beginning to end, but it's a script, and it's John's account of what's going on while he sees things as he's taking his trip to heaven and getting to see everything. The second thing is in Revelation 5, verse 1. The scroll that Christ opened had writing on both sides, and I don't have time to go through everything, but on the outside of the scroll, Jesus already knew what was on the outside of the scroll. It was written sometime after the sin in the garden. It was in God the Father's hand the whole time, and everyone in heaven could see what was written on the outside of the scroll of Revelation. And fast forward, Jesus is at the temple with his disciples. He's come down, was born, has his disciples the day before, I believe it was the day before he goes to the cross, and they're marveling over the temple. And Jesus says, I tell you the truth, not one stone, this all be destroyed, not one stone will be left upon the other. And he tells them a long story about the destruction. And it's in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21. And it's the destruction of Jerusalem, and then a time period, and then the sun grows dark and the moon turns to blood. And they were shocked. Now, one of the things is the church today uses Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21 about an upcoming destruction of the world, when it was truly about the destruction of Jerusalem. I mean, you got to think, you're there with Jesus. Do you care about 2,000 years in your future, or do you care about what Jesus just said about the upcoming destruction of Jerusalem? And so that's what's discussed in Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21. And this is proven because John, when he's in the book of Revelation, after he sees Christ begin to open the scroll in Revelation chapter 6, he's peeling off each one of these seals on the outside of the scroll. If you put Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21, and Revelation 6 together across the board, it's the same story going down. And you'll see in Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21, and Revelation 6:12, the verse, the sun grows dark and the moon turns to blood. That was my starting point when I started this, realizing this was like a word puzzle. Because what John sees is visions. And those visions are on a separate timeline that you got to break down and figure out what's going to happen in the future.
Gotcha. So
I've talked
no, like I said, it was just an intro. We'll get into the meat and potatoes in a minute. So I want to set the format real quick so that we don't go astray. I took some time to watch a couple, 3, 4 of your breakdowns, and I do have a few questions that I want to get into real quick. The first one is, when you were looking at the timeline, were you gauging this timeline based solely in terms of the actual foundation of your timelining on the premise of the year to 1,000-year analogy?
Well, it started out, like I said, it's a puzzle. And I started actually with the day of the Lord, with that sun grows dark and the moon turns blood. And I started working forward and backward on that timeline.
No, I mean, like a day is 1,000 years and 1,000 years a day. Is that your time, how you base your breakdown of time?
Yes, because there's throughout the Bible, Jesus says, like, today I'll minister, tomorrow I'll cast out demons, but on the third day I'll be glorified.
Mm-hmm.
There's hints like that throughout the Bible that meaning 2 days, 2,000 years, and on third day, the 3,000 years, he'll be glorified. But also in Genesis, God said, I will not strive with man forever, but his days shall be 120 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 120 years later, he flooded the earth. But if you take 120 and multiply it by a Jubilee year, which is 50, you come up with 6,000. And in the Bible, we got 4,000 years of Old Testament. And in the New Testament,
Mm-hmm.
we're looking, it just kind of matches up. It's, a lot of the hints where Jesus says stuff like he says, it's 2,000 years. And then on the seventh day, the 7,000th year, he'll be glorified, the 1,000-year reign of Christ.
I guess my question is it that it says that it's a day, or 1,000 years is a day, or as a day?
A day to God is 1,000 years to man, and 1,000 years is a day.
Is it so? But what I've been reading in the book, multiple translations, isn't a definite translation of it is 1,000 years, but it's as 1,000 years. So my question then remains this: is it saying that it's like 1,000 years to man because it seems longer than it, or is it saying it is exactly a day is exactly 1,000 years?
Yeah, I've kind of thought about that, because like but I think God is on a level that his day, for a day for God, because he is God, it would be more like 1,000 years to us, just say to do something,
Right.
I don't.
That's my point. That's my point. So is it So you're, like I said, the gauging of the time frame is taken as a literal 1 to 1,000 ratio. But is it what it's saying? And because it doesn't seem to be saying that it is, it just says that it's as. And I don't know how we can take the as to make it is and base our translation of things on that. I don't know
Yeah,
how secure
I,
that is to
understand,
make.
I understand that, but like, you know, we have nothing else to go on until, you know, it was just a possibility. But when it
Mhm.
matched up across the board with everything, with all these other things,
Well, it would
these
match
other
up if
time.
that's the if you take it as exact, but will it not match up to if you don't use it?
Well, we won't know until Christ comes back about the end. But so far, yes, where, you know, there's 4,000 years. If you took the you know, so and so begot so and they lived so many years, and you add all that up in the Old Testament, it is 4,000 years from
Hmm.
like from uh, Adam to Abraham was almost like 2,000 years. From Abraham to Jesus was 2,000 years.
Hmm.
From Jesus till supposedly when he comes, you know, is supposedly about 2,000 years. And then the I guess another hint, one of the best ones is when Moses' sister Miriam, uh, she spoke against Moses' wife. She was a
Hmm.
racist, and spoke against Moses' wife because she was from Ethiopia, and God cursed her. And he's like, "You want to be white? I'll make you white." And cursed her with leprosy, and so she had to
Hmm.
go outside the camp for 7 days. And after the 7 days, you know, she was clean. You know, she had to come back, show herself, you know, to the priest and all. But seven is, you know, numbers throughout the Bible mean a lot. Uh,
Yeah, I agree with that.
One is God. Two they say is division. I believe it's confirmation. Three, I believe, is the Trinity. Four is means a total change. Five is grace. Six is man. Seven is completion. Eight is new beginning. Nine is wrath. And then it goes on and on. There's other, but for the like I said, it's puzzle pieces. And when you
Hmm.
put these, you know, you put it all together, it falls. It can fall into an order.
So let me ask the elephant in the room in the question:
Yes,
what is the why is it important?
I you know, to some people it's not, but
Hmm.
I mean, to me, it's important. I just you know, you've got so many pastors out there to push that Christ is coming right now. Right, you know, he's on the doorstep. He's And you know, if you die tomorrow, yeah, you're on the door. You're on the doorstep. But I wanted to know when he's coming. Now, people say, you know, Jesus said, "No one knows the day or the hour except the Father."
Hmm.
Well, that was old covenant. Jesus at that time had not died, gone, didn't pay the
What? Okay,
price on the
define
cross or nothing.
that. Okay, so what do you mean by that was an old covenant that you was talking about?
When when Jesus said that, even in the book of Matthew, before he went to the
Uh-huh.
cross, they're in the old covenant.
Uh-huh.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they're in the old covenant. That, you know, those books should be, you know, possibly in the Old Testament, because Christ had not died on the cross. The new covenant had not been. But Jesus did not have the knowledge of what was inside this scroll yet until he paid the price on the cross. And once he paid the price on the cross, he opened those seven seal, and and in Revelation 8:1, you know, he removed that. John saw him remove that last seal. And there was
Hmm.
silence in heaven for about a half an hour, that's how long it took, you know, Jesus to read it, probably. And then,
Or there just weren't any women there, whichever one.
sir,
Or there just weren't any women there for that half hour.
I'm sorry, say again.
There just weren't any women there for that half hour.
Oh, that's wrong.
Sorry, ladies, but I had to throw that in there. I had to, I had to throw that in there. If y'all get mad, y'all get mad. Okay, just saying. There was silence in heaven for a half hour. I'm just saying. The men were up there first, and we took that time for ourselves. Um,
I think they were
just
all,
a thought.
you know, everyone just wanted to know. There was such, you know, just everyone wanted to know what was going to happen. And they were just, that's why they were all silent. You know. Plus, you know, that's God
Hey,
reading, don't interrupt him.
hey, look, guys, I can say what I want because the wife ain't here to beat me up. She's out of town, so I'm taking this time now, and she probably won't go back and watch it in time. And by the time she does watch, she'll forget. So I'll be safe. I'm playing it safe. And Linda, listen, Linda, don't you take yourself and go inboxing my wife what I said. We gonna have words. Don't do that. Okay. Let a man have his peace. You see, this is what I mean. This is why it's true that half hour gonna happen. I'm just saying, just stating the fact. But my question is still this: the and I saw someone else put this. We need to know the time. We need to know the signs. I'm still trying to figure out the why we do. I mean, I understand some want to, but I'm talking about the need to. Do we need to know this? Is it something that's necessary to the Christian walk in order to walk properly? Um, but this concept of knowing the time of when he's coming back, and you're saying that when he said that, that didn't mean that we can't know when he's coming back. I'd like to dig a little bit into that because um, if he says something about the heaven and earth passing away, and that was what he was meaning about him not knowing the end of time, how can we know if he doesn't?
Yeah, well, he does know. I know he does know now because he opened that scroll. But I think we need to know so we're not deceived. Because throughout history, how many times of Jesus coming and they do crazy stuff, and but that's following a man, too. And if you don't, you can't always follow the man. When you get to heaven and you're standing before God, that preacher and all them other people are not going to be there for you. You're going to be by yourself, standing in front of them, and you got to give a account for everything you believed, what you heard, what you done, what you acted on.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to a church and the preacher's like, drink the Kool-Aid, we're all going to go see Jesus because he's about to come destroy the earth. I'm not going to be like, no, what I'm saying? There's so much more though to know and to learn and what I have put out there, I believe, because the argument, like I said earlier to you, the arguments for the resurrection, there will be there's no arguments. It's not, I got it for your audience. Find in the Bible the word 7-year tribulation. Find in the Bible where it says 7-year tribulation.
Doesn't say it. We know that.
It doesn't.
We've been over that multiple times here. We don't. This isn't the crowd that believes that particular thing at all. We don't believe in the whole. Well, I'm gonna speak for myself. Sorry, audience. I'm not gonna speak for you. I'm gonna speak for myself. I don't hassle myself, but I do not also. I have never read anywhere about this idea of rapture either. That's the word is not in there. The concept possibly, if you look at it a certain way. Secondarily, don't care because it's not me calling anybody up. It's not me ending time. I'm just here so I don't get fined. So if he decides to show up tomorrow, he show up. He don't show up tomorrow, doesn't matter to me because I'm not basing my walking with him on him coming back. I'm basing my walking with him on him being here with me now. So that's why I don't stress myself over the times. However, I had that statement and I still want to flesh that out. If you can break down for me Matthew 24 and what exactly he means from verse 32 to 51.
Oh, wait a minute, jump. Open up the Bible here. From 24, Matthew 24, from what to what?
32 to 51.
24, 32 to 50. I'm going to have to turn the light on here. Old man eyes.
Yeah, me too. I just have to use it for long distance.
32. Now let the fig tree. Yeah. Let the fig tree teach you. Okay. Verse 33. Now let the fig tree teach you its lesson. When its branches begin to sprout and leaves appear, you know that summer is approaching. In the same way as something like that would happen, in the same way, when you see all these things, what Jesus was talking about in Matthew 24, and to me, that's the upcoming destruction of Jerusalem, the one that occurred in our past between 66 and 70 AD. Okay. And the same, you are to know that the time is near, right at the door. Now he's talking about destruction of Jerusalem, and that it's near and it's at the door.
Mm-hmm.
And it was. I mean, if he died on the cross at 30, what was it, 32 or 33 AD, and in 66, that's what, 40 something years, 42,
Mm-hmm.
44 years. Not a generation shall pass before these things happen. That's
Mm-hmm.
the generation thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them like to use that generation verse, saying, it's about the restoration of Israel today.
Mm-hmm.
A generation shall pass before he comes. Well, that's long gone.
Mm-hmm.
We missed that boat a long time ago. So, uh, all the way to what? Verse 34, 35.
Yeah, no, keep going. We're going into
Okay.
the
Yet,
portion of this thing that you said. So go ahead.
yes, I tell you that this people will certainly not pass away before all these things happen. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. But
Mm-hmm.
when that day and hour will come, no one knows, not the angels in heaven, not the Son, only the Father. For the Son of Man's coming will be just as it was in the days of Noah. Back then, before the flood, people went on eating and drinking, taking wives, becoming wives, right up till the day Noah entered the ark. And they didn't know what was happening until the flood came and swept them all away. It will be just like that when the Son of Man comes.
Mm-hmm.
Then there will be two men in the field, one will be taken, the other left behind. There will be two women grinding flour at the mill, one will be taken, the other left behind. So stay alert, because you don't know on that day your Lord will come. But you do know this: had the owner of the house known when the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and not allowed his house to be broken into. Therefore, you too must always be ready, for the Son of Man will come when you are not expecting him.
Good. So my question is, how does that, based on what you said in the prior verses about the generation, apply to the generation when this hasn't happened yet?
Which one hasn't happened yet?
The latter with the men in the field, because they're all in one timeline. All that dialogue is based on 32-ish all the way down.
Maybe I'm not understanding the question.
So from 32 with the parable of the fig tree is linked exactly into what he's talking about, the last days of Noah. So how are you saying that the generation is a people that time, when he's linking that time frame with the people in the field? Was there a time in history where people were in the field disappearing?
Not that I'm aware of.
But that's the same time frame as the generation won't pass, is what I'm saying. Based on the scripture here, he's not talking about a past generation, that's a future generation. So that's where I was confused, because if he's saying nobody knows about when he's returning, that whole passage is one thought. It's not two separate thoughts. He's not talking about a generation won't pass away in one time frame, and then the second part of it talking about people in the field in a second time. That's all one time frame.
Well, from like in this Bible, it's broken up in paragraphs, and so he's starting.
Yeah,
a new
but it's not
paragraph.
broken up in paragraphs in the actual word is my problem. So we broke it up, but it's not broken up in the original. It's all one thought all the way through in the original.
Well,
So that's my question. I just didn't know whether or not when you looked at it, because what I'm reading is that it's mentioning everything that will be before this takes place. This generation will not pass away before these things takes place. And he mentions the things that are going to take place. Not just the temple, but all the other stuff with it. So that couldn't have happened already, because I don't remember any time in history where what happens in verse 36 all the way through has happened in history before, where people just go missing, absent, disappear in a field.
well, if you back up to 24, maybe not in Matthew 24, back up to that tab 29. Okay, he talks from verse 1 to 28. He's speaking of the upcoming destruction of Jerusalem, but then in 29 it says, but immediately following the trouble of those times. And to me, that's that 2,000-year break. and then the sun will go dark, the moon stop shining, the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers in heaven will be shaken. This is on the day of the Lord. And then he goes in, and then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky. All the tribes of the land will mourn. Which in Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21, the disciples only asked 3 questions. When will these things happen? What will be the sign? And the sign of basically of the end of the age. What would be the end of the age? And he breaks it up. In the beginning, he's talking about the destruction of Jerusalem, and then you've got that time period, 2,000 years, and I believe this is when he returns, 2,000 years after the destruction of Jerusalem. But then those verses follow that we just read, and I believe that's something that's going to take place later, because this is after that part in that verse. Because the chapters in the Bible, that usually each chapter stays in order. Even in Book of Revelation, each chapter is in order, but the chapters blend together. Depending on the topic, they'll blend together. I don't want to get off track, but one of the examples was they say there's 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 bowls that are coming. Well, the 7 seals already occurred. Jesus already removed the 7 seals, and all that is information on the outside of the scroll. But the 7 trumpets and 7 bowls, they put as 14 plague angels, when actually there was only 7 plague angels. Each had a trumpet and a bowl, and it goes by their numbers. And the first 4 plagues, 4 trumpets, 4 bowls, are blown and poured out before Christ's millennial reign. And that's the destruction of the whore of Babylon. The final 3 plagues occur afterwards.
Yeah, I get that.
Order, but yeah, this is he's on 36, but when that day, he's talking about the day of his return.
Right. And I'm saying that all of it links to the verses prior, because at 20 is when he mentions it. Actually 21, for then there will be a great tribulation such as never been seen from the beginning of the world until this time, nor shall ever be. And unless those days are shortened, no flesh will survive. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. And this is what anyone says to look, here's a Christ, or there, do not believe, for the false Christ and false prophets will arise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even God's elect. Has that taken place? Because that's part of the exact same timeline that you're saying was for that generation. Did it happen in that generation?
Yes, I believe that happened, because it's before.
What proof do you have that it happened already?
I don't. I wasn't there. I don't have.
So that's my point. So you're saying you believe it's happened, but I don't think there's anything to prove that it happened. And so there's no showing that this has not happened yet or happened, but I have yet to see any of the stuff that is proving end of time, anything to really come to fruition. But if you're going to tell me that this particular verse is linked directly, inextricably to the past generation, why has things that not happened yet and supposedly could possibly happen, but we don't have no proof that it happened, is what you're tying into your theory? I guess what's your premise for believing it, other than you want to believe it?
Just trying to put it all in logical order. If something clashes, like I said, I got a box full of stuff where I would find something else out, but it conflicted. If it was something in the Old Testament conflicted with the New, something I was studying, I'd like, this isn't right, and I would just chunk it. I'd set it down for a long time when in 1 Corinthians, you're talking about the resurrections, in 1 Corinthians 15, 23 and 24, it says the Messiah is the first resurrected. We go to Revelation 20, verse 4, I believe it is. It says, those are the first resurrection, rule and reign with Christ for 1,000 years. And I'm going, well, the first resurrection was Christ being raised. Now we're talking about other people at the same time.
Because we're all raised with him when he raised. That was the whole point of Ephesians and Romans, is that our salvation is what the resurrection is that's talking about. When Christ was crucified, we were crucified in him. When he rose, we rose in him. Our acceptance of that is what our salvation lies in. So that's the resurrection they're linking there to, not a second resurrection or a first resurrection in a human form. We're talking about the fact that at the time there's only one, and that was us in him. It says so in Ephesians that we were buried in him and we were raised in him. That's not a future thing or a present thing. That's a past thing. When he died, we died. When he rose, we rose. That's what it was meaning to be in Christ. It's more than just saying, well, I believe. And that's what makes you a Christian. Your acceptance of something that's happened to you in Christ is massively important to the Christian walk. So when it was mentioning in there, it wasn't mentioning a second for people, it was mentioning a first for everyone because it already happened in Christ.
Well, I took things more literal, I try to put everything in a timeline. But on that verse in Revelation 24, I had to set all that down because it conflicted to me. And then, I felt like God saying, pick it back up. So I started looking and went through the Strong's Concordance, and on the word first in there, it's, they got all the little definitions after the Greek word that belongs there. And first was down at the bottom. For some reason, they put that, King James people put that in there. And the primary definition was prior. Those are the prior resurrection will rule and reign with Christ for the 1,000 years. And when I read that, I was like, okay, that lines up with 1 Corinthians 15 verses 23, where it says at the time of his coming, because he's coming to set up his millennial reign. And so at the prior resurrection, prior to the millennial reign, that's when he's going to resurrect his people. And like I said, that's just another step. And then,
so do you believe when he's coming back?
If our calendars were perfect, I could probably get it down to within a couple of years, because it would be 2,000 years after the destruction of Jerusalem, sometime after that. But as I told you earlier, there was information that was found out that there was a Roman emperor who, back in like 780 AD, somewhere around in there, he wanted to be the millennial emperor. So on our calendar, he had him skip 200 something years, and bam, he made him the millennial emperor. So we still got another 200 something years on top of what we think.
So we don't know.
We don't know.
So he was right.
It's somewhere way in the future. It's not.
So he was right then. So he was right. No man knows the day or the hour.
Yeah.
So he was talking about a future event.
But also,
if we can't nail it down because we've screwed stuff up, it must mean something that we are not supposed to. No, I consider it like this. The same way he did the Tower of Babel, he's doing now to our attempts to figure it out. He throws many wrenches into our ability to figure it out, which is why we have so many people who don't know but want to know. And I think he said so too. People who want to know, but we won't know. Nobody knows but. So if you're saying you don't know, but you'd like to know, it must mean that we're not supposed to know.
There's I'm trying to find it right now. There's in one of the New Testament. I should have had this, but it says we are not supposed to be. We're not supposed to be in the dark. He doesn't. We are children of the light, and we're supposed to basically know these things. And it was discussing the time of his return, and I am trying to find it. It's 1 Thessalonians chapter 5.
Mm-hmm.
But you have no need to have, and this the chapter before was talking about some resurrections and the God shofar blowing and people being caught up to meet the Lord in the air. Chapter 5, verse 1. But you have no need to have anything written to you, brothers, about the times and dates when this will happen, because you yourselves well know that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night. When people are saying everything is so peaceful and secure, then destruction will come upon them, the way labor pains come upon a pregnant woman, and there is no way they will escape. But you, brothers, are not in the dark, so that the day should take you by surprise, like a thief. See,
Right.
we are not in the dark. We are supposed to know, and we're supposed to know, just like in the other verse we read earlier about the thief. We're supposed to know. We're supposed to be alert. We're supposed to read the word. We're
I
supposed to.
I think that's a pretty big jump, and I'll tell you why. Me preparing for a thief is me different than not preparing for a thief. I may not know when the thief is coming, but I know the thief is coming, so I have my house prepped.
Mhm.
There's a difference between having my house prepped for a thief so that when he busts in, kind of like Home Alone, I know there are thieves out there, and the instant you bust into my house, you're going to step on a hot iron, a pokey thing, something stab you in the foot. I'm going to know you in my house. As opposed to somebody not knowing a thief is coming and you have no preparation done and you get robbed. That seems to be more what it's saying, because if you look further on, it says this one here, because it says, for you yourself know perfectly well that the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night. It tells you that they know it'll come as a thief in the night. It's not questioning whether they believe it's a thief in the night. They already know that he will be coming like a thief, meaning all you have to know is that someone is trying to break into your house. Prep for the occasion. You may not know which day, but every day you prep. Then it says, but brethren, you are not in darkness, meaning you're not of the other people who are not prepping, so that they may overtake you as a thief. You're all sons of light and the sons of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as others do, which he repeated in the 10 foolish virgins, or the 5 foolish and the 5 wise. But let us watch and be sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk at night. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate. And he goes on to tell us how to prep for when the thief comes. He's not telling us that we'll know exactly the day the thief is coming, just that the thief is coming and you should be ready. So when he talks about even the 5 virgins, or the 10 of them, 5 were wise and 5 were foolish, they had no clue when the bridegroom was coming. But 5 were prepped and 5 were not. There were 5 that were prayed up, sobered up, tanked up, had oil, had reserves, and it was lit. The other 5 didn't, but all 10 were asleep. All 10 fell asleep. Only 5 were ready when he showed up. The rest had to go find oil, find this, and find. Can I borrow some of yours? No, you can't get none of mine. I prepped before he showed up. Sorry for you. You should have prepped like you knew a thief in the night was coming. So I don't think that particular verse. Well, I'm 100% sure because it says it. The thief aspect is still coming. It's still a thief, but some people are not prepped for thieves. Some people believe, my house will never get broken into, so I'm not going to secure anything. I'm not going to lock my doors. I'm not going to batten up. I'm not going to have weaponry ready. No, some people aren't prepped for thieves. Some people are. Those in this instance, the thief meaning to steal, kill, destroy. But not only that, but when he comes back, it'll be as though a thief is coming, which means your house will be there. You won't know when. But when the thief breaks in, the thief is aware, like, oh, crap, they were waiting on me. In this case, it won't be that kind of crap. It'll be like, oh, they were waiting on me. So I don't think at all that this is a matter of us needing to know. I think this is a matter of us prepping for regardless of when. Um, the bigger question then is, if that is true, if, and I don't expect you to believe, I'm not saying this for you to believe it, but if that is true, will the signs and times and all that stuff really affect his coming?
No, he's still coming when he's coming. We can't do anything about that.
So what is our mission for prepping for that?
Make sure you're ready to go and bring as many people with you. That's the primary, for everyone to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the main thing right there.
So
I had another guy tell me one time. I was like, hey, this. I was trying to give him one of my cards, and he's like, look, my job here. He was at a church. He said, it's just to bring people to Christ. I don't care nothing else about that other stuff. And I was like, okay, he was honest. And but yeah, that's the primary thing, is to bring people into God's kingdom. And but I just enjoy this learning other things, more things as much as I can. So that's where I've gone, way out there. Did I lose you? I'm not muted.
No, that was me. I'm speaking to my smallest, coming down to
Oh, okay.
interrupt.
Sorry.
So yes,
I
these
was looking at the camera, not at you.
these kids. And yeah, I know I was muted, people. I know, but I wasn't talking to y'all. I was talking to Mini Me. To Mini Me. Mini Me came down and trying to interrupt my day. And y'all might think that's so rude. Why would you talk about your son like that? Because I can't. I didn't invite him
Hey, I
down.
threw mine out
And
of the house. I sent him to
yeah.
the junkyard. Where
I wish
like,
I
go to the
could throw my
junkyard.
9-year-old out the house. I don't think I can throw a 9-year-old out the house. I don't.
Oh yeah.
Can you? Can you? Legally? No, I'm just kidding.
My mother did. My mother kicked us out of the house when, as soon as the sun came up. Eat breakfast, go outside and play. Don't come back until it's dinner time.
Yeah, I would send him outside, but it's cold today. He would like it, but I don't. He gonna want me to go with him, and I ain't doing that. I'm sorry, people. I'm not a water person, and I ain't built for the cold. I'm a summer baby. That's why I'm black. So just so y'all know, don't ever ask me for winter stuff. I'm not skiing. I'm not sledding. I'm not doing none of that. Snowman. Do you want to build this? No, I don't. I don't want to build a snowman.
Yeah, you do.
I want to burn the snowman to the floor and dry him up so it's warm and wet in summertime. So I dropped your books in the, if you guys are interested in knowing more about his perspective, I made sure to drop both links for both books that he has. I'm also going to drop the link for his YouTube channel here. Let me grab it. In the event that to check him out. Because I understand there are people who are wanting to know, people who are curious, people who are diving into this stuff. And if that's you and you want to make sure you get at least a direction of where to go, his channel is in the chat section. So are the two books. What are the name of the books?
No, the first one's Revelations of Grace and Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Dash, the truest interpretation of the book of Revelation. And the second one is the book of Revelation is so simple. And it looks like, let me see that. It looks like that right there. The second one.
Cool.
I don't have the first one. I don't have a print up of the first one. It was too big. So
are those going to be in PDF formats?
Yeah, whatever.
That's
yeah, for download.
Okay.
They're download only. There's no. These are stuff. That's one I had printed for give people if they want it.
Okay, cool.
So it's not a book. No, there's no book available other than a free ebook. So,
gotcha. That's awesome. So anyway, if you guys want to check those out, both books are in the comment section, and when it's all said and done, I'll take those links and I'll put them in the description so you guys have them too, so you're not without. If you come later and you say, well, the chats aren't available, so I didn't get the link, the links will be in the description by the end of this program, and you can go check it out. Check out his channel. I did. You want to make sure you listen to as many as you can to get a nice robust, because you think you broke them up into different and they're
topics. Yeah,
different topics. So you want to make sure you get if you're trying to follow this in sequence, and I think he lays them out pretty good on his channel. You can just go check them out, go do your own research on it, and see what you arrive at. I want to thank you for your time and your investigation on all of this. Like I said, Revelation used to be a big bother to me at one point, until I got some grounding of where my direction should be in life, which is focusing on his the salvation of my soul and realizing what he has already done in Christ. I'm not concerned. I'm just not as concerned as I used to be. But when you brought up you said you knew, and I really wanted to, like I said, I had the questions about the ones I asked about. And but you've given me some clarification on a lot of the things that I've been wondering about, and I can see, based on what time frame you used, how it makes sense. Not saying no at all. But if there's a last bit of words that you want to leave to the audience, what would it be?
Well, the book of Revelation is a beautiful book. It's not the horrible book that you were taught, or that I was taught anyway. But it's a beautiful book. It's Christ returning to basically just finish the job, set up his kingdom, and then from there, the enemy gets one more chance at the Battle of Armageddon, which is over 1,000 years in our future. It's not coming tomorrow. Russia may nuke us, but it's not biblical. So, thank God. One more sentence further, it says, in that last verse we were reading, it says, we're not, for God has not intended us to experience his fury. You see, his fury is not for us. You know, we get man's fury every day, but God's fury is not for us. And he will take care of us before his fury comes. And that's what the book of Revelation is about. A lot of stuff like that. But
Amen. Well, thank you again for your time, and I'll make sure people check you out. I know a lot of I do know that a lot of the audience have questions about Revelations. They've asked me quite a few over time, so it's good to have a place to send them to go look at it, listen to it, and get there at least a direction of where to go, if not an answer. Like I said, guys, tomorrow, not sure. I really am not sure about tomorrow. The wife is getting back late tonight. And
you're already in trouble because
hey, I never get in trouble. I get ahead of that. I got ways. See, if I assume I'm always in trouble, I never have to prep. See,
I know, that's me.
I'm just wise like that. And men, if you need some tips on how to stay in trouble so you're never getting into trouble, hit me up. I know how to do it real good. I've become proficient at it, almost like, the Matrix destruction thing. I'm really good. So, but she's getting back late. And so I want to make sure I stay up in case there are any issues, emergencies, because she is driving back across the pass. And that's a lot of snow right now.
Don't forget
so if there's any issues, I want to make sure that if I'm up. So if I have to leave the house, I have to go and do something. I want to do that. And if that's the case, I probably won't get back home until 3 a.m., which means I ain't getting up for nobody at no 7 a.m. for nothing. So my body ain't gonna wake me up. Now, if you wake me up, you wake me up. But right now, I'm gonna say that I'll probably be sleeping in. So just a heads up on what's coming tomorrow. But I more than likely will be back Wednesday because he has given me topics. I just haven't figured out which day to drop them on yet. So Savage Patriots will be on 6:30 today. We'll be laughing a lot. Come and bring your stomach muscles and we'll work those out because we are going to be laughing a lot on this show. We're going to be laughing a lot. And then possibly tonight, Too Strong will be tackling a topic that we think is real, actually happening, which is the exodus of celebrities from the United States because of this current, the new coming in president. People are starting to, like rats on a ship and roaches in the light. And that's what people are just jumping ship. So some big names seem to have left. And I think I've confirmed at least one. So timing is everything. So we'll see. We'll talk about that on Too Strong tonight. If not tonight, definitely tomorrow night. We have a few videos dropping, so make sure you go check those out too. In the meantime and in between time, if you guys are wanting to assist with what's going on here at Straight Talk, you know exactly what to do. I told you already. Talk to the author, speak to him. He'll tell you what to do, what not to do, if to do at all. But the two options are there for you on the bottom. And we will be back again, like I said, for sure on Wednesday, if not tomorrow. Thank you again, Robert, for showing up today. Appreciate it. Yes. And we will vibe with you guys on another time. Wisdom calls to you from the streets. So please, please, please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die, rely on yourself in no way.